Hi y'all, welcome back to That's What He Said. I'm not bald. If you're on video, I have my low slick bun because I did my oil treatment today for my hair. You know, very important, especially for the curls. So anyway, we're back. This is a short story time we're going to be doing today. So this is a story that was sent in by Blakeley, and it was on audio. So I'm going to play it for you guys. I have not heard it, so you're going to get my organic reaction. So let's hear it. Cheers. Ginger tea tonight is what we have. Non-spiked. Dry January. Okay, here we go.
Okay, the story of the guy that ghosted me. So we matched on Hinge and talked for probably like 2 weeks before our first date. This was like July, August-ish.
Okay, summer
is
romance.
when we
We
matched,
love that.
and then we finally went on a date in August. And it was like one of those dates where you're like, oh my gosh, it feels like I've known this person forever. We were clicking so well. Everything was great. He's an Aquarius. He used to play football. He was tall.
Okay,
He was
very
really
her
funny.
type.
We had the
Very
same
her
sense
type.
of humor.
Oh, funny, yeah.
I was literally like, oh, so I'm gonna marry this guy. Okay. So,
Pause. We've all been there. First of all, guys listening, this is literally what we do. Like, we literally are picturing our wedding with you off the jump.
we had the first date. It was great. And then he planned a second date. So we went on our second date. It was also great. And that's the date where I saw Jess.
Okay, Jess.
But didn't realize it was
If
Jess.
you're listening, Jess, Blakeley did not recognize you. That's why she didn't say hi. I told her you were there, and she was like, oh my gosh, I know, I did see her. Like, I just didn't realize that was her. So anyway, she was not being rude. She just didn't recognize you.
So then we go on our second date. Once again, wonderful, great, amazing. And we keep talking, and he kind of, it was like maybe a couple days after our second date. And I said something like, oh, because let me backtrack. He didn't have on his Hinge profile that he has a child.
Oh!
And I was not even, told this until the day of our first date over text. We were having a conversation, and it was like back to school in August. And I was like, oh yeah, traffic's terrible, la la la. And then I was talking about how my coworkers were like complaining about having to do drop off. And he said something along the lines of like, oh yeah, I have to leave at like 5 a.m. to go through drop off and then get to work by 8. And I was like, drop off what? Like, what are you talking about? So,
like, drop off your dog at daycare?
Daughter. And I was like, the you mean your daughter? I was like, the hell? And he was like, excuse me, I've talked about this. And I was like, hey, sir, no, you haven't. And I wanted to say, because I wouldn't have even matched with you if I knew about it. Like, sorry, but I don't want to be a stepmom. So when I'm on the dating apps, if I see that someone has a kid, I just automatically don't match with them. And I understand that is up. But that is my prerogative to not feel like I am a good person to be a step-parent. I don't know. I'm just not in that mindset right now.
That's absolutely okay. Like, I think it's a little bit, it's a little bit snaky to like, to wait until you've got someone who's agreed to go on a date with you, or you've gone, and now I've lost the timeline. Did they go on dates already? No, she said, I don't know. She already liked the guy, okay? She's like, oh, he's checking the boxes. He's my husband. Okay, and then he tells her that he has a kid. That's a sleazy move. And because what you're doing is you're not disclosing that information on your profile to try to get more girls, because you know that your dating pool is going to be larger if you don't have a kid. That's just a matter of fact. There are a lot of women who don't want to be a stepmom, at least not right now. So you're lying by omission is what you're doing. On your profile, you're lying by omission. So that's like... It's like putting on there that you're self-employed when in reality you don't have a job. Okay? It's lying by omission. So I don't like that. And then I also don't like that he told her in that way. Like he wasn't, this wasn't like a, hey, there's something that I want to share with you. I understand if this is a deal breaker, but, maybe I wasn't comfortable sharing that information on my profile, so I want to tell you now before we get into this. No, it was in text, like casually acting like he's already talked about it. In fact, he said, yeah, we talked about this. And she's like, the F? No, we didn't. So anyway, let's keep going. Red flag, red flag. Red flags everywhere. Also, we need the story on the kid. We need to know more about that, but whatever. Let's go.
So, I was real pissed off about that, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to go on the date. And then now, went on the date, it was great, blah, blah, blah. So, go back to where I was. Second date comes around. Great date. And it was during a week where he didn't have his daughter. So that weekend, I went to
Okay, so already she compromised because she found out in a very sketchy way, and then she compromised and went on the second date. So you see what I mean? This is a tactic. Okay. Let's go.
the Razorback game or something. I don't even remember. I was out on a Friday and I said hey, he had mentioned I think I was joking and said yeah, well, you never want to hang out with me or something stupid. I don't remember. I was drunk. And he was like, you realize you can ask too. So then that was earlier in the day. So then later that night, I said, hey,
rude.
if you're not busy tomorrow, let's hang out. Because he had said, you can also ask to hang out. So since I hadn't yet, I was like, okay, I'll ask to hang out. And then nothing. Did not hear from him. We had been texting back and forth constantly all day. And once I said that, didn't hear anything. Did not hear anything for 5 weeks. And this man was still watching my Snapchats. That's the only social media he had, so that's all I could rely on.
So allegedly the only social media.
5 weeks, he's just gone, and I'm like, hey, cool. That'd be cool. That's great. So 5 weeks goes on, and I get a text from him.
Of course.
That
of course
says...
Let me say something. Pause. They always come back. Let me just say that. I'll just say that right now. You're going to hear that a lot on this podcast because I have proof behind those words. They always come back.
Then about Taylor Swift, because we're both Swifties, and it was something about...
Girl, he is not a Swiftie. There is no man unless he's gay that is a Swiftie, okay? That's another tactic. He knows you're a Swiftie. He's always like, yeah, I'm a Swiftie. No.
I was hanging out with Brittany Mahomes, and he was like, how much do you think her net worth dropped? Or something stupid. How much do you think her popularity dropped now that she's seen with the Mahomes? Obviously.
Wait a minute. After 5 weeks of ghosting her, his first text was about something football. Taylor Swift. What? Goodbye. What? I'm sorry. We no longer speak. We are not in communication. If you want to talk, why don't you hi, how are you? Can we please talk? Or I'm sorry that I ghosted you.
So dumb. And what the you haven't talked to me in 5 weeks and that's how you come back? I was like, you're dumb. So I responded and I sent possibly the most powerful text I've ever sent in my life. I'll
We
send you a
love that.
screenshot.
All right. Screenshot says, he said, Taylor's net worth dropped at least 20 million since she was seen at the game with Jackson and Brittany Mahomes. Right? Question mark. Nobody cares, bro. What? Oh, okay. So Blakeley's her response was, I find your inconsistency really unattractive. Wishing you well, though. All right.
To give context, I was like, this was like probably a couple weeks after he had ghosted me and I like wasn't getting a response. I was on TikTok and this girl's profile like came on my For You page and she was talking about what you should say to a man after you're ghosted and he comes back, because they always
I saw
come
this.
back. And one of
I saw this on TikTok.
comments she said that I resonated with is the one I sent, which is, I find your inconsistency really unattractive. Wishing you well, though. And that honestly is, like, to this day, one of the smartest things I've ever said, because previous me, I would have started back up the conversation. But I was like, nah, like, number one, this was my way out of the whole, like, baby thing. Like, I was still, you know, not really ready to be, like, in a relationship with someone that has a kid. So I was like, instead of not groveling, that's the wrong word. Instead of just taking this guy back and, you know, just blowing it over, I was like, nah, I'm gonna let him know that he up, and I know my worth, and I know what a good guy would have done.
Okay,
and
pause
that's what
right
I expect.
there. We have just a little bit left. But this is key, what she just said. She wanted to let him know that he effed up. Okay, y'all, ladies and gentlemen, something that we are messing up in our dating culture, have been messing up, is enabling bad behavior. Okay, and it is mainly with women enabling men. Okay, because that's just a more common scenario. We oftentimes allowed, and she did it in the beginning. She allowed him to get away with lying. And because she compromised after he lied to her and acted like nothing happened about something really important, the fact that he has a child, that could definitely be a deal breaker. She enabled him by going on the second date and did not give him a consequence for having lied to her. So right then and there, she showed him how to treat her. She showed him that he didn't have to respect her. Okay. Not saying that this is your fault, Blakeley. I'm just saying this is, and I'm guilty as well. Very guilty. Of not showing people the consequences of their actions when they treat you wrong. And now at the end, you saved yourself. You got it right, because had you taken him back and just responded whatever about Taylor Swift as if nothing had happened, you would have then showed him, you can treat me like this and I will still take you back. You can disrespect me. You cannot care about me. You cannot put effort into this relationship and I'll still be here. Okay, we have to teach people how to treat us. And as a collective in this country, in the American dating culture, men have been taught that they can get away with whatever and that we will still be there. We have to change this. And I know it goes the other way around too sometimes, but as a majority, this is the way that it goes. So thank you, Blakeley, for sticking to your guns and telling him what he needed, the truth, what he needed to hear. It was respectful. You didn't go off. You didn't act crazy. It was perfect. And you got to walk away with your head held high. And also, you don't have to deal with the whole child stepmom thing because you didn't want to be involved in that in the first place. So that's my 2 cents. Let's finish this.
Because if he's already being inconsistent and he's already showing lack of communication, Those are huge red flags that I couldn't avoid.
Huge.
And I wanted him to know that I was not going to stand for that. And since then, he, like, unfriended me on Snapchat, all that bullshit. But I'm like, you know what? I don't give a You and your kid go have a good time.
Okay. Well, hey. She dodged a bullet. She did. Those were some pretty big red flags from the jump. So, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the story. Thank you all so much for tuning in to today's episode of That's What He Said. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I hope you're taking away something valuable that will benefit your dating life. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please give this show a follow, rate, and review. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, like this video, and most importantly, comment below because I want to hear what you said. See you next time. Thank you.